Hi everyone, I'm Ken from Crypto Trading KS. If you're new, welcome, and welcome back to our regular community. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin is currently trading at $31,120, down 4.8%. Ethereum trading at $22.12, down nearly 7.4%. We notice the stable coins, USDC, DAI, USDT, BUSD. They're all green. That means money is flowing from the crypto market into the stable coins. If you're new to the channel, I just wanted to let you know that everything I do for you is free. I'm seeking to help you to become more of a financial blessing to yourself and others. I don't have any paid groups, reports, indicators. I don't shill leverage trading links or anything like that. I make my money from the markets. I'm really here to help you to focus on how you would trade, how you would invest, the thought process behind that, and to help you gain knowledge. I do this because I've seen so many channels out there lead people astray, and after 20 plus years in the markets, I've found that really difficult to watch. So that's the whole concept behind this channel. In this episode, we'll go through Rule 1122, the KS method for timing. Before we get into that, I'd like to share Rule 143. I created these rules over literally decades of training. Each rule has within it a cost that I have borne personally, and I'm really trying to help you to avoid costs. One of the things that I found, always be learning, is really important. But what does it mean? There's a very famous quote from Buddha. There is no wealth like gaining knowledge, and no poverty like a lack of knowledge. It's very easy in life to have a position that's not based by evidence or fact. In those cases, when you're in the market, if you don't have the required knowledge, you will find yourself making losses. Those losses signify to you that you need to learn something. That's really what it's all about in the markets. It may be interesting to note that Buddha was from Nepal, and Buddha actually died 2,663 years ago. Buddha was an incredibly influential person. My background is finance and business. Peter Drucker was an incredible human being. He was humanistic with business and management. Peter Drucker had a quote, "Knowledge drives opportunity and advancement." It's absolutely correct. The more knowledge you have, the more opportunity you have, and the more advancement you can make. I would recommend to anyone, if you're not sure of how things work, it is better to just start conservatively. I know a lot of people look into derivatives, futures, options, leverage trading. That can be quite disastrous. It's much better if you start with spot. That means you own whatever it is that you buy. We're always really keen to understand the sentiment of the news out there, and we assume when we're reading headlines that we don't know anything at all about crypto, because a lot of people don't. So we look at the headlines. Russia, confiscation, negative. Bitcoin back to support. Okay, that seems positive as market drops 3%. Hang on a tick, what's going on there? Some of these things can be confusing. They can be both positive and negative. Crypto wallet recovery service. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Crypto scams, rug pulls, Bitcoin. Whoa, that is bad. How negative is that? Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're stuck in a range. Ugh, sounds very uncomfortable. On-chain analysts expect Bitcoin price to explode. Awesome. SEC delays decision. Okay, that's not good. Bitcoin fails again. Wow, that's really bad. Risk of sharp something or other. That certainly sounds bad. US Congressman declares investments in Dogecoin. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Let's see what the price does with that. Top currency news, cryptocurrency news, major stories. In the red. We have to go into this story to understand what the headline means, which is probably not the best headline. But overall, there's about 5 negative, 4 positive. We can say the sentiment is roughly negative. I love to reshare rules. Rule 52, Bitcoin moves the crypto market. It's a really well-known thing in education that key concepts need to be repeated. If you hear something that's important only once, you may not think it is that important. What I try to do, and I've learnt this through many years of lecturing, stats, first and second year stats. When a lecturer, a teacher, a professor, whatever that person is that's trying to convey knowledge or transfer knowledge, when we consistently repeat a rule, it's really important. This is probably one of the most important rules that you can know. From the last timing video, which was episode 111, the price of Bitcoin was $34,782. Now it's trading at 33,000, now 32,000. It's having fun. What we notice is that there was a support line. It's broken underneath that. What do we notice above this thing? There's a strong structural support that now turned to resistance. We've got strong structural support below the current price at 32,414. We've seen the price try to get up to this $35,000 mark, and it's not having a lot of luck. Why is that? Because there's a degree of structural resistance coming in along in this blue line. There's also a higher level of structural resistance coming in around, let's say, about 36,700. And there's a very psychological level of 35,000, just above that structural resistance. What it means is Bitcoin needs to actually gather momentum to crunch through these particular levels. So what could have caused this sell-off today? The FOMC meeting was potentially about reducing the amount or tapering the amount of support from the government, and that impacted yields. If you've seen episode 112, you know all about this because we covered off a lot of stuff in depth in there. I always do a market trend and then the actual market itself, looking through the alts. Two different episodes, one to paint the picture of where we're going, and the second one to dive in deep and look at the minute detail. It's really important. It's actually vital that you look at episode 112. If you're just viewing this particular episode, I would recommend, when you're finished, to go back to 112. It'll paint a really powerful context for you. Returning to Bitcoin, Bitcoin currently has support around its price at about 32,900. It's got a very strong level of structural support at 32,414. Just to give you a bit of help in the sense that maybe some people like to know what I'm doing, I'm buying. That's because I've looked at the market dynamic. I don't really care about what other channels spread in terms of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I go independent. That's why watching that previous episode is really going to help you out. Rule 86, price is negatively biased. What that means is it's more likely for something to sell off than to go up most of the time. And when we get a sell-off, it can come down hard, which we've seen in Bitcoin, and we see it all through all markets. I try to raise these rules for you when they're appropriate so I can reinforce it. So it just becomes part of your trading and investing DNA. Let's have a look at the longs and the shorts. The shorts, measured here in red, are increasing. This is fantastic. This is what I've been waiting for. I was really a bit concerned that there's not as many shorts in the market as what we need to make it healthy. We can see the longs increasing, the shorts as a percentage relative basis increasing more. This is incredibly healthy. I'll explain why a little bit later. You'll see it. The more you watch this channel, the more that you'll see that's correct. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum shorts in here, we've noticed that these have been increasing. We do one of these episodes every single day, 7 days a week, and we're looking at what's occurring. You can see that the shorts are increasing as there's so much emphasis on Ethereum being the best. And look, The price is coming down now. The longs are getting liquidated. It's really interesting to note this. When shorts increase, depending on where the market structure is, the shorts, the longs get liquidated, they bring the price down, they harmonize the price. When the shorts increase and get liquidated, that means they go down. The price can shoot up. There's always a balance in the market between shorts and longs. Let's have a look at liquidations. Over the past 24 hours, 286.46 million in liquidations occurred to 71,645 traders. We go down, we see over the past 12 hours, around 94% of liquidations were long. Looking at the 15-minute chart, we can see all these liquidations playing out, but these aren't really substantial liquidations. The reason that we track liquidations, we're looking for these big spikes. They tell us a lot. When a lot of shorts come into the market, when they get liquidated, the price goes up. That's really healthy stuff overall. Let's have a look at Bitcoin net realized profit and loss. We can see that just recently an enormous amount of loss was exhibited in the market. When we get this loss in a bull run, that means we typically have hit a bottom. We always have to back that sort of statement up by fact. And one thing really important, please look at episode 112. We go through enormous detail to make sure that Bitcoin is either going up or down. We look at the light, we look at the dark. We don't care which way it's going. We only care that we know what way it's going, either up or down or sideways. That particular episode will give you the best vantage point to know the answer to that question. Returning to Tether, balances on exchanges. We've seen this spike in Tether balance, which means that's sort of the capability to buy. And then it was deployed, the market went up, and a big spike in Tether balances on all exchanges. There's buying occurring under the hood, but a lot of people can't see it. The stablecoin supply ratio SSR oscillator helps us to see how stablecoins are being deployed, into this case Bitcoin, and that's all stablecoins. It's increasing. There's more and more stablecoins flowing into Bitcoin presently. One thing that we like to do is to track fear and greed. It's currently at 20, which says extreme fear is in the market. When extreme fear is in the market, people tend to sell. When there's extreme optimism in the market, extreme greed, people tend to buy. What actually happens is people tend to buy when prices bid up because they feel psychological safety, and then unfortunately they often buy at the top because that's what institutions do. We seek to buy like an institution down here and layer out of positions up here. We do the exact opposite of what retail investors do. You might notice this USDT is money being deployed. They're buying like an institution, not retail. Retail and institutions have two different mindsets. USDT balance, Tether, increased, and a rally up followed it. Let's have a look at the top 7. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, Binance Coin, Cardano, XRP, and DOGE. Several community members have asked me to comment on Tether. I think it's FUD. I think the whole concept of Tether, if you understand the banking system, which is a fractional reserve system, the banks don't have enough money for what they actually lend out. Tether is far more secure than any bank. But we can go into that in a deeper dive. I just for the sake of covering it through, I think that's probably helpful. The top 24-hour percent gainers are Flow, Stacks, Theta, T-Fuel, ICX, Bake, and Mana. Let's go the other way. Top 24-hour percent losses: KuCoin Token, Synthetics, Sushi, Tel, Rune, Comp, and Link. This is always the way. Price is always moving in a wave. Top 7-day percent gainers: Axie Infinity, AXS, Flow, KCS, SNX, STX, Mana, and 1. Greatest losses over the past 7 days? Talcoin, DOGE, ETC, Digibyte, VeChain, Stellar, and EOS. I would like to do a quick shout out and thank Joe. Joe saw Bitcoin info charts and just recommended that on the Twitter feed when I asked if people had interesting things to share. I'm aware of Bit info charts, but I think Joe actually had some really good stuff here. Look at the market capitalization. See how big Bitcoin and Ethereum are. I love to show you stuff like this. It's an amazing thing. Transactions, Ethereum at XRP, dominating the market. Median transaction value. It's very interesting, isn't it? Active addresses, sent last 24 hours, dollars, USD, Bitcoin and Doge. Look at that. Average transaction value. Doge is kicking. Let's have a look at Binance Derivatives. And Deborah asked a question in the community. These derivatives, they're just Binance or everything? They're just Binance, Deborah. So let's have a peep at what is actually occurring here. I think it may help to know Binance is by far the largest exchange. So what happens in the market is like what happens in Bitcoin to other alts. Binance is disproportionately weighted. 24-hour trading volume in Binance Derivatives is $50.3 billion. 24-hour open interest is $6.2 billion. We're really interested in the change in price of the contract over the past 24 hours. We're trying to look into the engine of the crypto market to see what is happening. We can see Axie Infinity still has a degree of interest. Things are turning negative, but not too many double-digit negatives occurring at the moment. But there's not too much positive either. Bake plus 7%, Mana 2.7%, RLC 11.3%, CHR 2. Not too much in the way of really positive movement. This is the whole concept. Price moves in waves. Alice up 8%. But what I'm noticing here is that overall we're not reaching double-digit negative, which is quite a good sign actually. Let's just cover these other futures off. Okay. The reason I look at Binance is because in terms of its actual size, it's $65 billion, which is quite considerably larger than the other exchanges. I hope this helps. Rule 47, master your edge. I've had a couple of people in the community ask me to cover Bollinger Bands and moving averages and different indicators, and I really appreciate you reaching out. Whatever your edge is, if you can make it real, if you can make it profitable consistently, you're on a winner. That's all this is about. It doesn't matter what your edge is, so long as it works. Let's see if we can hone your edge now. Before we look at any particular coin to trade, to buy or to sell, and remember, all investors always become traders. An investor becomes a trader as soon as they buy and as soon as they sell. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it's really not important at all. You know, I'm a long-term holder. I'll just buy whenever and sell whenever. Can I show you something really cool? You see this? Psychological safety. When do you think people buy? When there's psychological safety. Non-traders buy when the price is going up and sell when the price is going down. I know for a fact that many in the community are sitting on 50% plus losses. They're called in through the media and they suffer as a result. What we do here is show you a different perspective, how to think, how to buy, and how to act like your own institution. Institutional investors, institutional traders always look at totals. They always look at trend. They always look at the big picture before they drill down to anything underneath that. Crypto total market is currently $1.359 trillion. We've seen this sell-off here, and I really think it's nothing more than uncertainty in the markets over yields. and we covered that extensively in the last video. You really need to watch that. It will shield and guard you from a lot of FUD that's going to be in the markets. That's why I put it out, to make sure you know. We can see that this particular pattern is Bitcoin's pattern. Now, why do I say that? Here's an example. I've just overlaid the real-time price of Bitcoin over total crypto market cap. You see, and you know the percentage of Bitcoin in terms of the market. It's little wonder it moves this way. But you can see when Bitcoin sells off, all of the cryptos sell off. This is without this Bitcoin overlay. Total crypto market cap is the on average movement of every single alt in the crypto market plus Bitcoin. This is why I try to keep reinforcing this rule 52. Bitcoin moves the crypto market. If you understand that, you probably entered the 1% club. I think 99% of people in crypto just don't know it. Thinking as retail, you may see this going down and get really freaked out. Thinking as an institutional buyer, I see this red and say, about time. Thank goodness I'm going to get a better deal. I'd just like to divert a little bit. If we go back to the 18th of May and we look at Kusama, I'll go back to the other coin in a moment, we see that over literally a day, Kusama, back then, that's a long time ago, when the crypto market was selling off, it came down 75%. Now, if you had have bought that falling knife, and I know we can't time bottoms or tops, but just let's pretend you were incredibly lucky and you did. Say you bought down here and then you held it all the way to this peak. Notice the difference in percentages. 75% down, but 245% up. This is why institutions buy the dip. Everybody talks about buying the dip, but literally only institutions do it. Most retail investors will sell the dip. That's just a little example to show you the power of buying steep sell-offs. It is really an incredibly profitable thing to do. Let's keep on going. A lot of people in the community are worried that a steep sell-off is going to occur. We covered a lot of on-chain and off-chain analysis in the past episode. That's episode 112. We did a lot of analysis. It is probably the most condensed information you can get across the crypto market and the stock market in one hit. I try not to leave any gaps. In that particular episode, I had a quote from Peter Lynch. Peter Lynch was an incredible fund manager. He said, far more money has been lost by investors preparing for corrections or trying to anticipate corrections than has been lost in the corrections themselves. As you become more and more professional, you won't even care about corrections. In fact, you'll look forward to them. It's a really inversing of the retail mindset to the institutional mindset. That's how I want to help you. Peter Lynch knew what he was talking about. He averaged 29.2% annual return of the S&P 500, which was incredible at the time. In episode 112, I literally went through every single one of these and talked about it. This is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and there's a lot of FUD out there. I always read comments. I pay a lot of attention to what you ask me as a community. I love you reaching out and saying, Ken, what about this? Ken, what about that? I really love it. Please let me know what you want me to cover. And you can always direct message me on Twitter as well. I'm very accessible. You would have heard a lot of information that Grayscale's unlocking event is going to tank the market. Do you know who the people are that can actually get in and get a private placement of Grayscale? Individuals must earn at least $200,000 US per year, or if they've got a spouse, $300,000, and have a net worth of over $1 million. We're not talking about people without means. These kind of investors are called high net worth investors. They are pretty impressive people because they think like institutions. They don't think like retail. Let's go and fact check the news. This article on Stockhead was quite good. It talks about Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust holding about 654,600 Bitcoin, which is about 3% of the entire supply. On July 17th, they're going to unlock 16,240 shares, effectively. Just note, this is only about 2.5% of the total. High net worth investors or individuals seek to catch the falling knife. They're not scared. They're going to be buying more. Let's do a bit of a quick fact check. Is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, is it holding this amount of Bitcoin? Let's check quickly. If we go over to buybitcoinworldwide.com/treasuries, we see that is indeed correct. That's about 3% of the supply. That's good. We've confirmed that number. What about this number? 16,240. If we go across to bybit.com, and this particular URL is bybit.com/grayscale, this is the unlock that they're talking about, 16,240. But you notice something interesting? All of these unlocks have been happening all the way through. Why aren't people jumping up and down? It's happening all the time. What do we conclude from this? High net worth investors, individuals, tend to buy the falling knife. They don't think like retail. That's how they have so much money. They think very, very differently. That's our focus together, to shift the mindset so that you can be like that. It's important to understand also that prices come down quite a lot. When unlocks occur up near peaks, high net worth investors tend to sell. When they're like this, they tend to accumulate. They're very, very different from retail. What that means, people with a lot of means would look at this greed in the market, extreme greed, and get worried and start to scale out of their positions. They know the price moves in waves. They would be looking to buy back in at these kind of levels. The time horizon for a high net worth individual or high net worth investor is a lot longer. They tend to hold things like Warren Buffett forever. This is just a really good thing to understand. Prices have come down substantially. That unlocking it could throw a short-term price pressure on as retail investors get spooked out, but high net worth individuals will be accumulating down here, and that's what they do. That's what they do. They distribute up here and they accumulate down in this range. I hope that helps. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum currently trading at 2174, literally on support. It has support below at 2100 and 2020, resistance above at 2253 and 2304. There's a lot of talk out there at the moment about Ethereum flipping Bitcoin's market cap. It's not correct right at the moment, and we looked into that in a previous episode. I think the important thing to understand is that Ethereum is impacted by Bitcoin's price movement. Every alt has a different percentage movement from Bitcoin. It's always alt season, but you can see just here how much this play actually goes from one alt to the next. Let's have a look at Binance Coin, BNB. BNB is currently trading at 31.90, pretty much at support of 309. There's a support below that at 302.71 and good structural support at 291.52. There's resistance above at 318.46 and 327.48. Is BNB following Bitcoin's fingerprint? Yeah, it is. They all do. No alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. If you understand that, you're in the top 5%. It also means something really cool. You can look at Bitcoin's price action and predict to a large degree how your alt will move. It's very, very good pre-information. Let's have a look at ADA, Cardano. Cardano is currently trading at 135.15, just above support at 133.43 and support below that at 128.48. There's quite a bit of structural support in there as well, around 124.11 and 121.27. We always want to prepare ourselves for any falling knife. That is a real key strategy, can be part of your edge. When you do that, you're dollar cost averaging down, but just make sure you control the fees associated with that. We can see resistance above at 140 and 144.86. Let's compare ADA to Bitcoin's fingerprint. You can see they obey. Now, what does this mean for us? When we get a really, really clear direction on Bitcoin's price movement, we can actually foretell how alts will move. It's the most incredible thing ever. Let's have a look at Dogecoin. Doge is currently trading at 21.251, pretty much at support. There is a support line here too, so there's a confluence of support. This structural resistance turned structural support is also coming into play at the 19,990 mark. There's resistance above at 22,200 and 23,393. Let's have a look at XRP. XRP is currently trading at 61.63. It's got structural resistance above at 63.17 and support below at around 60 cents. It's got a lot of structural support, 57 cents and below. It's looking, this amount of structural support is actually quite healthy. In the previous timing session, we looked into top picks. Let's see how they're actually going today. Harmony One was a top gainer in the past episode. You remember I said always think about price moving in a wave. It goes up and it goes down. I mentioned structural resistance coming into play here. A lot of people, a lot of retail traders would have got in up at these higher elevated levels and been really surprised when price came down, not knowing the correction that occurs between Bitcoin and alts, not understanding that. This is why we always seek to buy at support or in between support in layers. Dollar cost average, lower your average buy price as much as you possibly can. Let's have a look at the next one. Let's quickly look at Mana, Decentraland, which was a real top gainer. You notice this sell-off that's occurred here. Let me just zoom in there for you to check it out. This is why we always look at things and say, yes, price is going up, but we'll buy at support or between support because we know price is always moving in a wave. It's going up and down, up and down. This is really normal behavior. Let's have a look at Luna, Terra. Terra was on a tear yesterday. It was one of the top percentage gainers over the past 24 hours. Look at the wave down. This is what I always explain is really important to understand. Bitcoin's price will impact every single alt. When Bitcoin comes down, the alts will come down more. For example, I've just popped on Bitcoin's fingerprint. You see that sell-off there? That's the sell-off here. It's really important to understand no alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. It's just the way it goes. You see the gearing factor, and I'll do some more episodes on gearing. I think we're about time for that. See, as this moved up, came down, moved up, came down, really came down. This is why we don't FOMO. There is no fear of missing out. Always think you are now an institutional buyer and an institutional seller. It's a mind change and a mind shift. KSM, Kusama, was another big percent gainer over the past 24 hours in the previous episode. You can see how price just sparked up here and then it came down with Bitcoin. This is why you must know the direction of Bitcoin. I hope it's making a lot of sense. I spent a lot of time in episode 112, which is always the episode before the chaos method. I spent a lot of time helping you to understand through the data and through the facts, no opinion, just probabilities, the direction of Bitcoin. If you don't know this, you will get really freaked out in the market. I guarantee you. You'll lose sleep, you'll buy at the wrong time and sell at the wrong time. That's why we always do that episode first, before this one. I'd just like to show you something really cool. This is Axie Infinity, and we know that that's been doing pretty well. This is called exponential price movement. That's how Axie Infinity has been behaving. And you know what? It's going to happen to Bitcoin soon as well. When different coins get over different levels, they tend to rock. But don't forget, they're still always moving in a wave, up and down, up and down, up and down. There is no need to FOMO. If you do that, you're acting like a retail investor or a retail trader. We want to always act institutionally. And all you do, basically, if something doesn't get filled, you just move it up to the next level of support. Doesn't get filled, move it up to the next level. Doesn't get filled, move it up to the next level. Doesn't get filled, move it up to the next level. And you always wait for the wave to retrace, because they will. They just do. As you've seen with those 4 top percentage gainers, all those waves retraced. A lot of people have asked me, Ken, how do I buy? This is when you buy. If you know the direction of the trend, and that's critical to know. And you'll know that by looking at that past video. If you know the direction of the trend, when it goes deep blood red like this is the most exciting time to buy. These are fantastic. This is really what it's all about. Thinking institutionally. Leave that retail mindset behind, but you need a lot of facts and a lot of data. Institutions don't spend $1 without doing a lot of analysis beforehand. I hope you found this content useful. Everything I do for you is free. Please be aware of scammers. I do these videos to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. Please say hi and let me know where you're viewing from. And of course, if you have any questions, I'm always really interested in your questions. I focus in on those. I'm always talking about community member ask me this and ask me that. I really do my best to cover those things. Please know that I can't always cover what you ask 100% in one episode. Often there's just too much to cover, but I certainly do my best. If you would like twice daily updates 7 days a week on price movements in the crypto market, please subscribe to YouTube and follow me on Twitter. Always remember, crypto is volatile. Prepare yourself for the best and the worst case scenarios. Reality will likely be between them. Stay safe out there. Take care and see you next time. Bye for now.